welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan and I am a full-time online reseller. I resell mostly on consignment, so if that's something that interests you, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video and follow along for more. I wanted to just go over what sold for the last week or so. It's actually a little later than I wanted to start this, so I'm going to start off with what sold overnight and I have to be shipping out, and then I'll get into what sold the rest of the week. First, got a couple Poshmark sales. It's been a little while, but you know, I still have things listed there. I'm not participating in the boycott that's happening today. I'm not really making sales there anyway, so I don't really think I need to boycott. So Ducati has been a surprisingly good seller for me. This is a kids brand, it's French, and I found a bunch of it at a tag sale last year, which I've mentioned before. My average cost of goods from that tag sale was $1.89 per piece. So a lot of it sold fairly quickly. This sat for a little while. It's kind of a basic style, it's knit. I lowered the price because yes, it's short sleeve, but you know, once we hit the summer, it's gonna be too warm. So I had lowered it to about $15 a few days ago, and somebody just purchased without an offer or anything. So I ended up making $12 on that, about $10. And then the other two pieces I sold were both Johnny Was items. I have sold a lot of Johnny Was through flip clients. One in particular, she always has a lot of new with tags. And then I've had a few pieces from other clients as well. But this is just a little lesson in the brand name does not always sell the items. So I got these as part of lots. If I saw them in thrift stores, if I saw this style with the open shoulder, I would not pay for it because it sat for 4 months, I think. And it's new with tags. It's a size small, but the cold shoulder style isn't exactly popular anymore, so I'm assuming that's why it took so long to sell. I finally got it moving by posting it in one of those Facebook BST groups. BST is for buy, sell, trade, and I posted that as well as this one and one other Johnny Was item that I still have, and that one sold pretty quickly in that group. So the targeted brand BST items sometimes do well for me. I used to post in them all the time. I have not been doing it as often anymore, but I need to remember when I have things sitting, often they will go in those groups. So if that's something you want to look into, or if you have questions about that, feel free to ask down below, or you can find me on Instagram. I'm at tiny_adventures_resale. I used to do a lot of BST, but anyway, that's a little off topic, but so that Johnny Was, the open shoulder shirt sold for $45 free shipping yesterday. So about $41 is the price that I put into flip for that client, and I'm splitting that one 50-50 with her. So she gets the $20.50, I get the $20.50 minus the fee that I paid on Facebook. And then this is another Johnny Was top, not their typical embroidered colorful. I think that's probably why it sat for a little bit. It does have this, like the chiffon at the bottom, which I thought was a cute detail. This was part of a lot that had a lot of Anthropologie that has sold, but this was one of the last 3 pieces that I have left. So this one I accepted an offer on Poshmark for $23. So I had actually just bought that out for my client yesterday or the day before, and then of course I get an offer on it. So I only paid the client $233. I think I did $7 for 3 items, so I'll end up making an okay amount on that one. But anyway, take this as a reminder that Johnny Was, or any brand, it doesn't sell just based on the brand. It also has to be a desirable style and a size that sells well for you. Johnny Was has a pretty strong following, so I mean, everything sells eventually. I do still have 1 piece left, but everything sells pretty well for that brand. If you are ever lucky enough to find it, I'd probably still pick it up unless it's cold shoulder. The rest of my sales over the last 10 days, I think the last date that I covered was May 1st, have been kind of all over the place. My lowest sale was $10. My highest was $215 for a handbag. The average sold price was around 30 and change. Yeah, it's been a slow start to May, which you know, I know the economy's not great, but let's cover what has sold so far this month. First, this is my lowest sale for the last 10 days, but there was an H&M colorful striped sweater that I had listed on all my platforms. It sold on Poshmark. I think I accepted an offer for $10. I should have never sourced it. It had a pawl in it that I had noticed at the time, but I thought it was cute and I couldn't leave it behind. I should have left it behind. So I ended up making $1.85 on that one. The only benefit is that it was on Poshmark. Well, so I paid 20%, but I didn't use one of my poly mailers, whatever. And then also another low one was a mud pie flamingo tunic. This one sold on Facebook for $13 plus shipping. That was another offer that I accepted. Another thing that I don't know, sometimes I need to remind myself, like, just because it's cute doesn't mean I need to take it home. So that was another one I probably paid too much for what it is. I ended up making $6.50 on that one. Next, this was the good sale, a surprise sale on Poshmark. I think it was my first one in a week or so, but it was a bundle of 3 items. There was an LK Bennett bag, which I had mentioned in one of my earlier items. That was from a flip lot. It was a beautiful green leather bag with like the softest interior imaginable. I sent an offer to this buyer. She had bundled that bag, a Rachel Roy dress, a sleeveless, like chiffon, very simple, like shirt tail hem dress, and also another bag, a Jack George black kind of business bag. It had the laptop sleeve and everything, and she actually messaged me right after her purchase asking if I could ship quickly because she had a business trip that weekend. So I think that was, I forget what day of the week that was, but I shipped the next day and it did get there on time. So I did though end up paying over on shipping because it was more than the £5 Poshmark label. So I did not end up making as much as I could have. All 3 of those were flip items. I could have adjusted the sold prices, but it was my fault for not weighing things before I sent the offer. So I ended up eating the additional cost for the heavier label. So I still ended up making a decent profit on that, but you know, lesson learned, which is a lesson I should already know by now, but you know, sometimes I don't think things through. So anyway, next was, I had another pair of natives that sold. I've been talking about natives a lot the past couple weeks. This is like the time to be selling them. These ones I did have listed for a little while. They were a little bit more beat up than others, but I do think red is a good color. They sold on eBay. I accepted an offer, a really low offer for $9.50 because, like I said, those ones had been sitting for a little while. And then the next few were on Kidizen. I had a decent day on Kidizen. This was back on May 4th. I sold a Marvel Spiderman swimsuit for $12.50 shipped. And then I sold a bundle of 2 items. There was a TJX brand sparkly pink tutu skirt and a crew cuts striped sleeveless dress. Both of those were from 2 different clients. I sold those together for about $22 shipped. And then another Kidizen sale was a Gap rain jacket, which I mentioned this as well because this was the second one that I sold, new with tags from my client. I said I had sold them in play condition previously, but that last buyer just went and purchased full price at $29. This one I ended up sending an offer a little while later for $25 shipped, and she accepted that. In general, Gap is not a brand that I would source to resell, but I do accept it from clients and I sell my own kids' Gap items. If it's in decent condition, it will sell for a reasonable price, but that's another brand that people can sometimes get for really cheap, so I'd be careful with that one. Next are a pair of Converse that sold on Mercari. I remember sending an offer on these like right before I went to bed one night and woke up to a sale of someone who accepted. So those sold for $19 plus shipping. These double tongue styles have sold pretty well for me. I've only found a few, but usually they're like bright colors, and there's definitely a contingent of people who like that style. So I will continue to pick them up if they're in good condition. And then these next few sales are like series of unfortunate events on Poshmark. If you've been struggling with sales on Poshmark, I think a lot of us are in the same boat, but I've been a little bit, I've been accepting offers there that are a little bit lower than what I want. So I had a Dooney & Burke bag I had mentioned a little while ago. I had it listed for a while. It had a ton of likes, but I must have been priced too high, and there was a little spot on like the corner of the leather. So I relisted it and immediately got a like and an offer for $50. So I let it sit for a little bit. I didn't have anybody else come in, so I went ahead and accepted that offer because it was at the lower end of my flip estimate anyway. And I did actually touch base with the client about probably having to accept lower offers on the last few bags I have left, and she was fine with that. And then the next one was a Ralph Lauren vintage blazer. These two items were both from a client, and she listed them separately. I sold them as a bundle because they were the same size. So, and they both were the Ralph Lauren with the crested logo on the left chest. So those, I had originally listed them around like 100 because I did see comps of the blazer alone selling for like 70 to 90, I believe. But they sat for a long time too, and same thing, somebody came in with an offer of $50. So I thought about it for a minute, let some other likers get that notification that I received an offer. Nobody else came in, so I accepted it. Can't win them all. I'm gonna stick with Poshmark for a little bit because I don't want to confuse myself primarily, but I did have a string of sales for a few days, so I must have been on the good side of their algorithm testing for a minute. But I sold the Bcbg waterproof jacket that I said I was in love with last week. It's the seafoam green that I put on my dress form behind me. But that I had listed at $79, and someone, the day that I listed it, came in with an offer of $67. I went ahead and accepted that, hoping that, that was $20 above my higher end of my estimate, so I thought it was a good offer. And then also I was hoping maybe the Poshmark algorithm would start working in my favor. It did for like 24 hours, and then it fell off again. So, the next sale on Poshmark was this vintage David Brown and Magnin, I'm not really sure that brand, a caftan. It was from the 70s. It had a few issues. There were some seams that were coming undone. There were stains in a few places. It was still awesome. I didn't list it super high, but I did drop the price several times over the last few months. It had something like 20 likers on Poshmark, and then like 8 or 9 watchers on eBay. Someone came in with an offer of $19, which was a little lower than I wanted, but given the issues, I went ahead and accepted that. Next was Louise Etsy heels. I've sold a few other shoes in this brand in like the $40 range. This style I think was less desirable. The pointy toe I know is coming back, but the blue patent leather, not a color that everybody needs. So those I got an offer of $18 and I accepted. And then Mini Bowden, which I don't sell a ton of kids clothes on Poshmark, but Mini Bowden is definitely a brand that I sell frequently on Kidizen. Just every once in a while I'll sell it elsewhere when it gets to the point of having to cross list. So this one I accepted an offer of $20, which especially with Poshmark shipping is perfectly reasonable. $27 shipped for the same thing on Kidizen, it would be about what I expect it to sell for. And then Ducati, the dress that I showed earlier, was the last Poshmark sale. And I'll go through eBay next. I mentioned the natives that sold, but then after that, there was a T Collection dress. T Collection is another brand that does really well on Kidizen. Better lately because T Collection has become part of their rewear program. So there's been more marketing targeted towards T Collection, and it's just been selling much better than it had been before that. So I sold this T Collection dress that I had sourced at a Once Upon a Child near me. It sold for $16 plus shipping, and that's about the average for tea collection. Sometimes, actually before the rewear, I was probably selling most of the dresses at $16 shipped, so this was actually a little better than other prices I've gotten for similar items. And a note on tea collection, if you're selling it on Kidizen, every tea collection piece has a small tag on the inside seam, and there's a code there that will tell you what collection it's from. So tea collection, the collection part is that it's kind of globally influenced by different regions around the world. So this particular one was from their South Africa collection. They have South America, North America, specific countries, especially on Kidizen, that is a good tag to use. They have different tags for each region. I'll be happy to send you that list if you need it, but you can always look up the code and you can usually find the exact style online pretty easily. So I made sure to use the right style name, which I try to do with everything when possible, but also the collection part is pretty important with this particular brand. The next eBay sale, this Prana dress. Prana is a brand that I personally love. They make the best hiking pants. I love them so very much. My husband bought me a couple pairs for my birthday or anniversary or something a few years ago, and they're so comfortable and they do not stain because everything just rolls right off of them, and they're amazing. But anyway, they make dresses as well. So usually when I list Prana, I use tags like hiking, outdoor. I mean, this particular dress obviously is not only for outdoor, it's more of an athleisure. That's another tag that I believe I used for this one. Prana usually sells pretty well. The pants have always sold better for me. I've only had a few dresses listed. I do own some dresses. I purchased mine for 22 plus shipping, or 25, 26 in that range. So this was a pretty reasonable offer. I had started a little bit higher because this one was in such good condition and the comps were a little bit higher, but I was happy with the 25 plus shipped for that one. And next was this Kate Spade bathing suit, which I have had for almost a year. And this is another lesson in not always buying things just for the brand. This was kind of early-ish in my sourcing career. I had purchased a Kate Spade bathing suit at Marshall's for like over $30. So I never pay that much for anything. So that was me paying up. And it sold really quickly for $79, I think, and I made a very good profit. So the next time I was in Marshall's, I saw this bathing suit, and it was a few months later, so further into the summer. So I had that working against me, and then also I think the style was not as desirable, or the print. So that one sat forever, and I finally just accepted an offer for 50 plus shipping on eBay. So yes, learn from my mistake. This has been probably one of the hardest lessons to learn as a reseller, but just because you have something that is a specific brand or type, like in the same category, doesn't necessarily mean that because one sold well, the next one will. Like, you need to have multiple sales to really be able to tell what's working for you, what people are looking for, and the kind of price that you can expect to sell it at, and if it's going to sell quickly. So I failed miserably with this one, but you know, we live and we learn, right? So I would still pick up Kate Spade bathing suits. I probably would not pay that much for one again, and I definitely need to look up the specific style via Google Lens to see how it's been doing. The next eBay sale was one of those Lululemon bags, the crossbody bags that I got in a flip lot last week. I had a yellow and a blue, and I had a watcher on both of them, like back to back, so I figured it was probably the same person. I sent an offer of, I had them listed at 38. I sent an offer of 30 on each of them, just because I figured if they bundled them, then I could save on shipping. But then they countered at 25 for just the yellow one. And I thought maybe they would still want the blue, so I went ahead and accepted that, but then I didn't hear anything else about the blue one. So that was a little bit lower than my estimate on Flip. I had estimated 27 to 38, so $2 lower, which might affect my rating in Flip just a little bit. But I thought that was fair given the comps on that particular color. I do think I overestimated a little bit on that one. I think some of the comps that I had seen on Poshmark might have been a little bit older, so that's my fault. Then the next sale on eBay was this Bcbg Max Azria silk shirt. This is an item that I purchased for myself on Poshmark a few years ago. I wore it to work a couple times. I didn't really like how it fit me, and it didn't really stay in place like with the wrap part, even though there was a snap there. So I had it listed for probably a couple years, and I accepted an offer for $20 plus shipping on eBay. And then the last eBay sale are these freshly picked, which that's another brand that does really well for me on Kidizen. They're leather rose gold Oxford moccasins. They were a little bit difficult to photograph. I got them from Once Upon a Child, and they had tissue in them when I purchased, so I left that in to give them a little bit of shape. And I usually try for my cover photo to be the top view and side view of shoes, so that wasn't really working. I ended up having to balance them against each other, but anyway, they sold. I accepted an offer for those for $20 plus shipping. And then I mentioned the sale of the Converse on Mercari. I only had 2 other sales on Mercari this week. Honestly, that's probably my fault too. I terrible about going back into Mercari to drop prices and send offers. So when I do that, I do see sales. I don't think I've done that since the night that I sold those Converse I mentioned earlier. So I did sell this bundle of Ducati Tops. That's the same brand as the dress that I sold yesterday. Again, European brand, and it seems to do pretty well for me. I had originally listed them at $48 because I price high on Mercari and expect that I will eventually remember to drop the prices. But I got an offer almost immediately for those for $36 plus shipping, so I went ahead and accepted that. Ducati has honestly surprised me at the prices that it sells at. It's not a brand that I hear much about. So, but I will definitely pick it up again if the price is reasonable. And then the last sale on Mercari was this Patagonia. It's the Kamala skirt / dress. So it could be worn as a halter dress, or it could be slid down and worn around the waist as an asymmetrical skirt. So that one I had listed for a little bit. I think I had it listed at $20, and then someone came and offered me $15 plus shipping. And given comps on that particular item, that was pretty in line, so I accepted. And then last but not least, Kidizen sales. I had a few more that I have not already mentioned. There was a crew cuts long sleeve shirt. It has geometric patterns in glitter. That was an item that I got from one of my clients who has a lot of crew cuts. It sold for, I had a discount on my shop, so that one sold for $12.11 shipped. So not a lot of profit there. Sometimes crew cuts can do a little bit better, but it's very dependent on the style. This is also out of season, so I didn't really expect very much for it. And then next were these Clark's shoes, which were adorable, and another thing that I didn't want to pass up, but thankfully these ones did well. I have sold Clark's a few times before. I've had women's booties that I've sold from a flip client, but as far as thrifting, I've had only a couple kids size pairs, but they do all sell. They usually go for a decent price. These went for $24.50 shipped on Kidizen, so the shipping is about $4.15 since they're tiny and super light, so that was a decent profit. And then crew cuts and this Garnet Hill dress both went in a bundle together. The crew cuts dress was a Liberty of London print, which again is from that same client with the other crew cuts items. The Liberty of London items with these ditzy floral patterns, they do much better than the regular crew cuts. Actually, any collaboration with Liberty of London has done decent for me. The thing with this is I did expect more because it's new with tags. The retail price was $98. And I think this might have been there. I did get an offer from somebody very early on for about $20 lower than I had listed it for. So I did politely turn that one down, but I think I ended up probably selling it for about the same price. But it was bundled with this Garnet Hill dress. The Garnet Hill dress I had thrifted. and did not notice a pinhole in it. So I was happy to let that one go. The price for that after my discount was $10.95, and the Crew Cuts Liberty of London dress worked out to $35.05. And then I shipped them together, so the shipping for each was $2.58 once you average it out. And then the last Kidizen sale was another pair of natives. These are, I think, were the last. Oh no, I have one more. I have one more here. But those are the last ones I had listed at the time. They're pink iridescent, size C11, which is a toddler size, and those sold for $21.25 shipped. So yeah, that's all. Get natives if you can. They're selling like crazy. These ones are a little smaller, so I just listed those, but hopefully things will start picking up again. I know the economy is tough. I know it's tough to list consistently, but I hope things are going well for you out there. If you have any questions, please drop them down below. I've been on Kidizen for 6 years now, so I actually was thinking about doing a video next week probably, because tomorrow is my son's birthday, so we're taking him to bounce. But I was going to do a video about like tips of what works for me selling on Kidizen. So if you have any questions about that, please drop them below, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Take care.